Continuing from the previous episode 1850. Just after being projected, the blood cauldron swelled violently. After the breath, it became 100 jong in size and was erected directly into the air, like a blood-refining furnace specially used to refine the living dead. People suffocate. Looking closely, there is no difference between this blood furnace and an ordinary medicine refining cauldron. The only difference is that there are extremely dark stabs all over the blood furnace. Those stabs are actually composed of countless ghostly ghosts. The shares are not inferior to the fierce energy of the fairy, and even they raised their hands together and walked towards the mouth of the furnace, as if they were setting off something. The many faces of these souls can no longer be seen clearly, but the place where they are lifted up together by their sinister palms is clearly the mouth of the furnace. As far as the eye can see, the top of the blood furnace is filled with endless dark aura, and the gloomy wind is blowing. There seems to be nothing at the furnace mouth, but Xiao Yan feels that there seems to be some kind of terrifying horror in the dark blood furnace. Creatures, slowly falling asleep. Push! Soul Temple powerhouses obey the order and sacrifice themselves to the furnace. Soul Wuji's voice just fell, and the dry Soul Temple powerhouses behind him glanced at each other. Only a few people walked out, and then projected into the blood furnace, turning into a pool of blood. Wei Wei filled a trace of the endless darkness of the blood furnace. Even they, as Soul Palace powerhouses, never imagined that one day they would sacrifice their bodies to the furnace. HMPH. The guy who is greedy for life and fear of death, get in for me. Looking at the fearful actions of countless Soul Palace powerhouses behind him, Han Wuji waved his hand, and the tyrannical ghost Qi directly sent all the Soul Palace powerhouses behind him one after another. Into the evil furnace. Shabu! The blood furnace devoured countless soul bodies, and suddenly became shaken, and even in the furnace mouth, scenes of blood seas with extremely terrifying power drifted out. Using evil to breed spirits and nourishing evil with souls, your Soul Palace is truly worthy of the name. Looking at this extremely obscure blood furnace, Xiao Yan's voice slowly became strange, with a look of disdain. Soul Wuji ignored Xiao Yan, and countless souls and souls poured out of the black mist around him, and were directly projected into the blood furnace. For a time, the endless dark blood furnace land seemed to have endless blood. The cloud rolled violently and roared. After the rest, the sky that was originally lit by the sun is now surrounded by screams, and weeping. The hearts of 100,000 human beings are extremely depressed. They may be members of the royal family of the Tianxin continent, or they may be ordinary people, but after witnessing such terrifying methods of Soul Wuji, their faces became hideous, and they wished to personally go on the stage and bring this guy to justice. Because of the cold aura above the blood furnace, their bodies trembled slightly. If there is no human crack, I am afraid that they will be thrown into the blood furnace next. The *** aura continued to spread from the blood furnace, shaking the depths of everyone's soul, and whenever there was a Soul Palace powerhouse thrown into the blood furnace, the scarlet blood cloud in the blood furnace was shaking and boiling. When he got up, there was a slight trace of blood cloud overflowing. The blood cloud fell from the sky. Wherever the blood on turned by the blood cloud passed, countless human beings instantly turned into white bones, and even the blood and soul power were swallowed up by the blood on. Net. It seems that you have already planned. The demon Xiao Yan stood in the sky, the dark green mist all over his body was steaming, and the shadow of the demon behind him was like a superior, looking down at the Soul Wuji who was constantly controlling the blood furnace, Xiao Yan. Yan sneered. Originally, this was to deal with Macau, but I didn't expect it to be used on you. But it doesn't matter, this time, no matter what kind of * holy flame controller or demon you are, you will be completely submerged in the blood furnace tide. Xiao Yan, are you satisfied with this great gift that this hall master has prepared for you? At this time, the black mist around his body had completely disappeared, and even his breath had dropped to the level of the early stage of the 7-star fighting immortals. The clouds rolled, all revealing a terrifying force that was enough to suppress the heavens and the earth. At this moment, Emperor Lin also retreated from the sky, slowly surrounded himself with Princess Lin Yunshu and the high-level royal family, watching the battle of the mighty powerhouses above the sky. He could only smile bitterly. After all, he is the king of a country, and it is impossible to fight to the death, and if he falls, the entire royal family is behind him. Father, We support you. Lin Yunshu frowned slightly, looking at the battle above the sky, smiling as he seemed to sense the deep meaning of the Emperor's wry smile. Don't worry, since this guy was invited by you, this king will send him back unscathed. Xiao Yan, decide the outcome. After a while, Soul Wuji felt that the tide of destruction in the blood furnace under his feet had been suppressed to the limit, and the soul body roared out with a rebellious tone. That's what you want, devil. Seeing this, Xiao Yan didn't do much, but called out softly. At the same time, countless dark green mists in Xiao Yan's body seemed to be summoned, and slowly burst out from the body. Surrounded by countless dark greens, the name of the devil is well deserved. Not long after, in front of Xiao Yan, an unusually harsh tornado roared out, and in the tornado, there was a small dark green sword about an inch long. On the body is engraved with a vague figure like a human being. That figure looks like Xiao Yan and also looks like a devil. Devil's blade. Xiao Yan's palm swelled countless times as he spoke. The weak dragon scales on his arm were covered with a dark green demon pattern, and he suddenly grabbed the demon's sword. Gather all the strength of my men, soul sacrifice. Blood furnace tide. Soul Wuji looked at the devil's blade that swooped down with the devil's tornado, but there was no fear. It's over. Xiao Yan revealed a very terrifying grimace. His arms and body simultaneously exerted strength, waving the devil's blade, slashing at Soul Wuji. Devil, this is the first time that this world has appeared. Even Gamma and others who study devils do not know how powerful the devil's power is. Similar to the devil's sword, it is only Xiao Yan's own understanding. Quite a simple effect on the power of the devil. Boom! The blood furnace exploded like a tidal wave of energy, and Xiao Yan, like a meteor falling from the top of the sky, suddenly started to collide with an aura of awe. Push puff. Bang bang bang. The world trembled, and the scarlet blood rain was mixed with an indescribable dark green aura, like a downpour falling from the sky, and the entire core circle of the star continent was wrapped in it. The world was silent, and the pupils of countless human beings below shrank tightly as they stared absently at the world-destroying battle above the sky. Xiao Yan took the incomparable demon blade and slashed directly, and Huo Wuji was also bathed in the tide of blood clouds. Who was stronger or weaker, this moment troubled them. The error-free chapters of Fighting the Sky God of Yan Emperor will continue to be updated on linkttonovel.com, and there will be no advertisements on the site. Please collect and share. If you like Yandi of the God of Fighting the Sky, please collect it. The Emperor of the God of Fighting the Sky is the fastest to update. Continuing from the previous episode 1851. Boom! Countless energy ripples spread out from the sky and the earth changed color, and space cracks with a length of thousands of meters spread from the sky at a terrifying speed. The incomparably pitch-black space crack, I don't know where it leads, but the fierce evil spirit contained in it makes countless people look solemn. Ha ha ha! Xiao Yan, let this hall master die. With one blow, countless blood cloud energies turned into huge waves, and with the body of Soul Wuji, they roared away at Xiao Yan. Devil's blade. Xiao Yan stepped back continuously, directly at the tip of his toes in the void, and blasted away at Soul Wuji. The blow just now was actually evenly matched, both of them were damaged, and Xiao Yan had just mastered the power of the devil, so the above were evenly matched. Soul invades the blood heart. Soul Wuji, surrounded by blood waves, suddenly sneered, and pointed his illusory finger towards Xiao Yan in the air. Following it, countless gloomy black mists filled the countless cracks in the surrounding space at the same time. When it came out, it shook violently like a huge organ, and it swelled together in an instant. I didn't control my power just now, but now. Soul Wuji, it's over. Just as the wave of fluctuations had just dissipated, a stern voice, with irresistible killing intent, swept the sky. Crash! Above the demon's blade, a cold light flashed, and Soul Wuji suddenly felt a chill behind him, and saw the horror in his eyes from above the blade. Whoosh whoosh. With a gentle wave, the demon's blade was like a cutting blade, completely ignoring Soul Wuji's attack and slashing its illusory soul body. One sword and two cuts. Poochie poochie. Soul Wuji had an unbelievable look on his pupils, his body shrank violently, and the blood waves under his feet temporarily lost control, and filled the sky with a menacing momentum. No, impossible. Soul Wuji noticed that the vitality in his body was rapidly disappearing, his pupils shrank tightly, and he lost his voice. The blood furnace is the most eerie immortal weapon in the Soul Palace. With the enhancement of many soul bodies, it can't even beat a single Xiao Yan. I'm a demon, and I'm also Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan didn't talk nonsense with this guy. The demon's blade was flashing dark green evil light, and it continued to stab at Soul Wuji. The demon power didn't even know how tyrannical he was. 7-star fighting immortal's perfect Soul Wuji is naturally impossible to find out. Wang buzzing. In a few breaths, this invincible Soul Wuji, the soul body was completely destroyed in Xiao Yan's hands, and even through the devil's blade, a trace of extremely dazzling soul power was fed back to Xiao Yan. It seems that since he obtained the power of the devil, every time he kills a person, there will be a little power feedback to himself, and he does not know whether it is a blessing or a curse. Let's disperse. The Soul Wuji was completely resolved. The dark green evil energy spread on Xiao Yan's body, and the blood wave was easily wiped out. However, this world was already riddled with holes, and there were several huge waves. The cracks in the space reveal a sense of enchantment. Xiao Yan is still standing in the sky, but even now, the demon state has not been lifted. The knot, it's over? After a long while, the countless humans below said in a stunned voice, looking at Xiao Yan's majestic figure above the sky. At this moment, Xiao Yan was like a god's mansion, like a *** in the eyes of human beings. The Soul Hall belongs to Xiao Yan in the case of Han Wuji's desperate gamble just now, and the rest of Lin Feng and Lin Fengya's remnant army, as well as the hidden power of the Holy See, have lost the 2 angel guards. In this case, I am afraid I can only admit that I am unlucky. Father, we won. Looking at the figure of the demon Xiao Yan above the void, Lin Yunshu let out a sigh of relief and showed a rare smile. I'm afraid, things are not that simple. At this moment, Emperor Lin Shiwan's face was extremely ugly, and he didn't have any joy at all. He also stared at a certain place in the mountain range with the same soul power and eyes, an irresistible depression filled his mind. At this time, he is also the power of a half-step 8-star fighting immortal, but under that power, he is like a child, and even if the 2 guardian angels completely fall, Soul Wuji completely falls, the enchantment of light above the sky, there is no the slightest sign of disintegration. This shows that there are still powerhouses in the Holy See, and the strength of that powerhouse is only not weaker than that of the 2 angel guards. Father, what's going on? A group of high-ranking members of the royal family beside him seemed to be after a catastrophe, cheering and jumping on Xiao Yan's name, but Lin Yun'er and Ji Zan were aware of something and asked quietly. Sigh, things may be more complicated than I thought. At this time, Emperor Lin slowly shook his head and his eyes resolutely appeared, his body squirmed slightly, and flew towards Xiao Yan above the sky. Let's go. Seeing this, Lin Yunshu and Ji Zan didn't ask any more questions, their bodies filled with a grudge, and they turned towards Xiao Yan together. Endless dark green evil light scattered across the sky. Every trace of evil light appeared in front of Xiao Yan's eyes. These evil lights sometimes showed the figure of Gamma, and sometimes the figure of Mar appeared. The power of the devil has no absolute distinction between good and evil. It is you who made me, thank you. Xiao Yan raised his palms slowly, and weakly dissipated the dark green evil light. His voice was extremely soft, but under the softness, it is hiding a killing intent that is close to madness. The evil light was slowly dissipated by Xiao Yan, but in the end he was defeated by the barrier of light. At this moment, in Xiao Yan's body, the blood of the devil was roaring. Like declaring war. Silence, death like silence, but under this silence, there is a strong aura that surpasses the few people just now. Qinshin. Xiao Yan looked at the 3 people who were approaching, his strong voice carried a hint of strangeness. Qinshin heard the words, as if she had been struck by lightning, her delicate body suddenly trembled, and Ji Zan, who was supporting the princess, smelled an invisible wave of death from this trembling. We will protect you, even if it is the entire royal family. Never die, fight until the last soldier. Lin Yunshu and Ji Zan looked at each other, then Zaidu and Emperor Lin looked at each other with a firm tone, as if this short sentence represented 1,000 words. This is my business, Demon Xiao Yan shook his head, obviously not wanting them to interfere. After all, once they intervene, the entire royal family and the entire Tianxin continent will be implicated. Little guy, thank you. Qinxin can have such a good senior brother as you. Emperor Lin also smiled with relief. He seems to prefer sons to daughters. Since he was very young, he has rarely spent time with Qinxin. Qinxin's mother died early. I heard that the maid said that every time Qinxin was in the dark and thunderous, he would be extremely scared. Fear of sleeping alone. Afraid of waking up in the middle of the night in an empty room with no one. Fear. If possible, I hope I can do it all over again to be a qualified father for Qinxin, not an emperor, nor a king of a country, nor for the rare power of stars on Qinxin, just a little girl's father. Give her a solid hug when she's scared, and be by her side when she's scared. She simply met Xiaoyan later, and was helped by Xiaoyan to unlock the power of the stars, and then she met Ji Zan, so the emperor's thank you contained thousands of words. Thank you all, but I'm a devil, and I'm also Xiaoyan. So, let's go. Seeing the three of them with such a firm expression, Xiaoyan couldn't help feeling a little sour, his nose was sour, and an unruly demonic power spread out. At the same time, in the mountain range surrounded by the enchantment of light, a scene of white flames suddenly jumped up, like a holy elf who controls all evil in the world, burning and shining the entire mountain range. Continuing from the previous episode 1852, the white dawn, like the morning dew waiting for the sun, warmly illuminates the riddled void. At this moment, the excited cheers in countless human hearts suddenly stopped, and their eyes slowly looked at the white flames rising from the horizon. I'll stop her. Following the appearance of this abnormality, the lines of stars on Lin Yunshu's forehead were venting, surrounded by countless stars, setting off like a star goddess, standing proudly in the sky. Qinxin, Emperor, you go back and protect the innocent humans. She came after me, Xiaoyan said with a wry smile on the corner of his mouth. Little guy, although I'm not a decent gentleman, I can still tell right from wrong. After the Emperor finished speaking, the aura of the half-step 8-star fighting immortal hung down from the sky, covering most of the void. The moment they spoke, the white flames under the horizon suddenly turned into 5 strands. After a while, the white flames turned into arcs of fire, rising from the horizon with a mysterious power, towards the light at the top of the sky. The enchantment is approaching and converging in the past. What kind of power is this? Even though the whole body was protected by the power of the stars, Lin Yunshu was shocked by the 5 arcs of pure white fire. Rao has never seen such a magnificent power in her experience. A touch of aura can make oneself so uneasy. 5 pure white fire arcs are rising into the sky, but they are like golden threads that cannot be crossed, imprisoning the entire sky. It's here after all. Xiaoyan frowned. The blood of the demons in his body quickly flowed when the 5 pure white fire arcs surged, and even the shadow of the demon soul behind Xiaoyan sent out a sense of dread and fear. Crazy taste. Angels and demons are enemies, and when enemies meet, they are naturally jealous. You go back to protect the people first. Xiaoyan's eyes were still a lonely shadow under the horizon. But that's an angel. Lin Yunshu couldn't help but his beautiful eyes were red, and he forced himself not to cry and said, the word angel has become a symbol of punishment in the world. Once the angel takes action, I am afraid that unless there is a reincarnation-level powerhouse, it will end. And now that the entire core circle of the Tianxin continent has been closed by this guy, the human beings in the enchantment of light at this time are like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Don't worry, I knew when I was in the devil's lair. I just wanted to try, whether the devil and the angel are stronger or weaker. After Xiaoyan finished speaking, a force of force sent several people underground. In the sky, the figure of an angel slowly emerged, and a pair of white angel wings behind her slowly instigated and slowly lifted into the sky, as if to show her status to the world. Angel. In the vast world, the angels are almost already the executioners who represent the gods in the world. Once they are targeted by them, they are all sinners. Angel? Why did the angel appear here? Looking at this arrogance, it seems to be going towards Lord Xiaoyan. But Lord Xiaoyan has just wiped out the Soul Palace powerhouse and that demon servant, and dissolved the real crisis for our Tianxin continent. How could he be a sinner with unpardonable sins? I do not believe. I don't believe it either. The ordinary people who were slowly evacuated by the guards and took refuge in the underground lair glanced at Xiaoyan and the angel above the sky before leaving, and shook their heads. Dirty devil, coveting the fertile resources of the Tianxin continent, causing such a murder, do you know the sin? One after another pure white bright flames wrapped Macau, and a high-pitched sacred Sanskrit sound spread out. At the top of the barrier of light, the pure white light flame slowly disappeared, revealing Macau's delicate face. In the void, the slender jade hands were surrounded by the divine dawn, and countless filaments of light were quietly crawling beside him. The thin figure was like a piece of paper. The pupils were extremely clear, like pure and unpolluted spring water. That sacred aura was set off to the limit, and the angel wings loomed behind her, which confirmed her identity. Convicted? I wonder how the traveling angel convicted me? What's wrong with me? A sneer flashed in the eyes of the demon Xiao Yan. He didn't seem to be afraid of Macau. Instead, his tone was filled with contempt, as if he was trying to provoke the dignity of an angel. Other things are not under my control, but you killed the 2 angel guards. Before adding that, the messengers sent by our holy see to the Tianxin continent were also accused of falling into your hands. How do you explain? It seems that the victory is in hand among the white and beautiful eyes. Although her power is only in the early stage of the 8-star fighting immortals with the demon Xiao Yan, but she has angel wings, and she has mastered forbidden techniques. What she needs to do now is to find a reasonable excuse to give Xiao Yan to bring it to justice. In fact, it is possible to kill Xiao Yan without looking for formal excuses, but that would cause a lot of trouble for the holy see behind him. The 2 angel guards died at the hands of Sol Wuji, and countless pairs of eyes were staring at the scene. You can't be blind, Macau. As for the holy see messenger you said was killed by me, it's not enough to be a witness. The ghost knows if it is you who are making a fool of yourself. Xiao Yan sneered and said with a smile, it seems that wasting words with you is just a waste of time. I originally planned to use a formal excuse to bring you to justice, otherwise I would not be able to explain it to the holy see, and now it seems that I don't need it. Dirty souls are only worthy of being branded and whipped by light. As for this, find a reason at will, and it's good to fall with you completely. A golden thread of light rippled in Macau's sharp eyes, making it impossible to look at him, because the radiance from the superior the coercion is enough to grind ordinary people into powder. Actually, from the time of the Devil's Lair, I knew that one day, all the human beings here will fall, all the human beings who know the Devil's Lair and the Devil Fruit. Is this your purpose? Actually, you are also coveting and fearing the power of this demon. You are nothing but a dirty guy, and you are shamelessly calling yourself an angel, which is really shameful. Xiao Yan continued without a smile. He's really a sharp-toothed kid, but it doesn't matter. Because after a while, you'll be a cold, rancid corpse. And the core circle of the Tianxin continent will also fall completely. It's all because of you. Dirty demon Xiao Yan. Macau's high-pitched voice filled the void, as unquestionable as an order. Let's do it. In fact, I'm also very curious. It is said that the power of the wandering angel is the closest to the holy see of God in the world. Who is stronger than the power of the demon in my body? After Shunshi, Xiao Yan's face changed. He had to sneer, and an extremely arrogant sneer and evil sound swept the whole world. Angel? Messenger of God? Executioner walking in the world? After all, they are nothing more than a group of demons in angel clothes. Previously in the Devil's Lair, UU reading link to www.ucanshu.com. Macau directly used the power beyond the limit to obliterate countless innocent lives. This time, the demon Xiao Yan is going to tear off Macau's angel coat and take a good look inside her body. Is that soul as pure as her angelic power? Whether her soul is pure or dirty. Since no one dares to fight an angel, then this precedent will be created by herself. Compose it by myself, and it is also a good time to show the devil to the world and expose the dirty deeds of angels. What the world dare not do, let me do it. The angels that the world does not dare to question will be killed by me personally. Continuing from the previous episode 1853. Do it. The angel and the demon seemed to step back several thousand meters in unison. Immediately, 2 forces of completely different nature erupted from the 2 of them, instantly splitting the entire barrier of light in 2. Demon Xiao Yan was surrounded by countless demon powers, which had transformed from the dark green mist at the beginning to a pool of dark green liquid. Obviously, Xiao Yan did not dare to take it lightly when facing the angel. The dark green liquid slowly wrapped Xiao Yan like dark jade, and the shadow of the demon soul behind him disappeared gently, deeply imprinted on Xiaoyan's skin. The dark green liquid was on Xiaoyan's skin, formed a very evil devil armor. The dark green devil armor fully armed Xiaoyan from head to toe, but on top of the dark green armor, looking from the bottom up, it looked like an evil formation that gathered energy, and it was like a strange creature. The devil raised Xiaoyan's evil aura to the limit. With the devil armor blessed by the power of the devil, Xiaoyan's power has soared, and it is not inferior to the angel. On the other side, light lines appeared on Macau's cheeks, and the white light all over his body turned into dense white threads after chanting at the corners of his mouth. The breath on the silk is extremely sacred, but it is extremely scorching hot. Once it touches the power of the devil, I am afraid that extremely terrifying fluctuations will erupt. A light attribute cage? I'm too underestimated. It seems that we have to teach you angels a good lesson. Looking at the growing white silk cage behind Macau, the demon Xiaoyan smiled. Whoosh! The voice of the demon Xiaoyan just fell, and his footsteps suddenly kicked in the void. With the help of thrust, he sprinted directly towards Macau. The cage of light. Cleanse the devil. Seeing Xiaoyan coming forward like a broken bamboo, Macau smiled lightly. A white Brahmin pattern rippled out from the palm of his hand, and the huge cage of light collapsed, suppressing Xiaoyan. The cage of light is tens of thousands of feet in size, with countless sacred white silks squirming, and the sacred and inviolable light aura is undoubtedly on display. At this time, Xiaoyan, the demon armor on his body exudes a strange color, his eyes are filled with a rare evil spirit, and he quickly blasts away at the angel. The cage of light fell, just above the void where Xiaoyan was advancing. The countless white threads on the cage were like red-hot irons. Every time they touched Xiaoyan, they would bring bursts of white smoke. Cece. Xiaoyan was bound by the cage of light and stopped suddenly. He could clearly perceive that these sacred white silks carried his own pain, the burning pain, even Xiaoyan's soul. It can be completely restrained and suppressed. Let me, the traveling angel Macau, keep you here as a demon heresy forever. Seeing Xiaoyan sitting like a bird in a cage, he didn't dare to resist in the slightest. This piece of sky has long been riddled with holes. The tens of thousands of meters of light imprisoned Xiaoyan just now, and countless sacred white threads quickly attacked Xiaoyan. After a while, the light cage suddenly shrank and turned into a dense white spider web. The body was completely wrapped and only the head was exposed, like a delicate white garment, crushing and purifying the demonic aura on Xiaoyan's body. As soon as Macau's voice fell, the angel's wings wriggled behind him, and 5 white flames that surpassed the sky and the earth appeared out of thin air, and immediately turned into 5 extremely sharp purification holy swords, quietly crawling beside him. The dignified parade angel. Is that enough ability? Seeing this, Xiaoyan snorted coldly and said arrogantly, Puchichi. Xiaoyan's voice just fell, and all the cracks and shattering voices filled the white holy robe that was transformed into the cage of light all over his body. Gotcha! With a sound, the dark green energy tide spread out like a tide with Xiaoyan as the center. The dark green energy tide just emerged, and it turned out to be the countless sacred white silk of the spirit shaking violently, uneasy. After the rest, the cage of light was shattered by Xiaoyan, and countless white threads were turned into pieces and fell from the sky. Seeing this, Macau couldn't help showing a hint of doubt on his beautiful face. The binding power of the light cage is the single-piece sealing fighting skill that is second only to the forbidden technique in the light attribute. It is enough to imprison the powerhouses in the middle stage of the 8-star fighting immortals. Moreover, he has added the power of angels by himself. Such power, even true gods can only avoid their edge. But a filthy demon actually broke free from his cage of light, and looked at himself with a sneering snort. At this moment, Macau seemed to be insulted, and his face became gloomy. The prestige and sanctity of angels cannot be violated, let alone desecrated. Shabu Shabu. With a wave of Macau's slender hand, the 5 sacred holy swords of purification hummed violently, piercing the sky like a meteor, bursting out at the demon Xiaoyan. The sky, at this moment, was completely divided into 5 parts by the 5 holy swords of purification, and even those space cracks were quietly submerged under the holy sword of purification, losing all their power. The 5 holy flames are all with the strongest purification power, quietly approaching Xiao Yan, but after Xiao Yan broke through the captivity of light, it stagnates, as if he is thinking about something, and there is no sign of defense or movement. Just standing blankly above the void. Da da da! Xiao Yan did not resist, and let the 5 holy swords attack. They were sacred and tyrannical, stabbing his skin all the time, touching his own demon armor, as if wearing smash yourself to pieces through the devil's armor. The harsh sound of metal collisions filled the body, causing Xiao Yan's eyes to slowly close, as if the world had nothing to do with me at this moment. The blade on the 5 holy swords is extremely sharp, and the white light on the sword body emerges. Those white lights contain the real power of purification. When defending, they will be completely submerged in the 5 holy swords. The 5 holy flames stabbed Xiao Yan from different directions, but no matter how tyrannical the holy aura on the holy sword was, it could not pierce Xiao Yan's demon armor, nor could it cause any damage to Xiao Yan. In the sky, Xiao Yan, the demon wrapped by the 5 holy swords, is like a rebellious heresy, using his demonic power to resist the punishment of the angel. Below, Lin Yunshu, Ji Zan, and the emperor, dozens of high-ranking royal families, escorted innocent people to avoid underground lair chose a flat mountain range. Watching the sky, Xiao Yan's figure became hoarse. He is fighting for us. If he is really able to resolve the end of this battle, our Tianxin continent and our vassal Haohai continent will be included in the endless fire territory together. In the future, Tianxin continent will be led by Qinxin alone. There are so many descendants in the endless fire territory, why not worry about not prospering? Looking at Xiao Yan's proudly standing body above the sky, the emperor's eyes became relieved. With his experience, he can naturally understand that a person who is positive enough what kind of potential stock is the guy who competes with the angels. The emperor is brilliant. After hearing the words, many high-level officials around them showed a relieved look. They already belonged to the emperor and princess wholeheartedly, and they would not have any doubts about their orders. Xiao Yan, I want to win. Lin Yunshu heard the words, the big stone in his heart was completely put down, his pink fist was slowly clenched, and the complex lines on his forehead shone with a faint luster. Continuing from the previous episode 1854. In the sky, the shocking and epic battle is still going on. Even the countless civilians who have retreated to the underground shelter can smell a breath that makes their scalps numb through the thick earth wall. Above the void, Macau hesitated, looking at the indestructible demon armor on Xiao Yan's body. No matter how sacred or tyrannical the breath of the 5 holy swords was, they could not penetrate its defense. Macau glanced around and found that this was an empty and desolate place, and his face couldn't help but look a little indifferent. Since they are all afraid of themselves, there is no need to protect them. Well, I was in the same boat as the devil, and I killed the devil and many evildoers in the name of an angel. This crime is not bad. Thinking of this, Macau laughed, like a flower blooming with the most beautiful smile, but it has deep meaning. After a while, the pure white angel wings behind Macau suddenly stirred, surrounded by traces of pure white light and sacred flames. He supported his body to swim in the void, and walked towards the location of the demon Xiao Yan. At the same time, in the blue sky, countless warm white filaments trembled, and a white flame filled his side. Under the white flame, there was a Sanskrit sound that purifies all things in the world, like a delicate brilliance that surpasses the 9 heavens, and white flames. The flames enveloped Macau, soaring her angelic sanctity to its peak. Hoo! Seemingly fed up with this family-like battle, Xiao Yan closed his eyes and suddenly opened his eyes, and an arrogant demonic breath spread out. Peefed! With a loud voice, the demon armor on Xiao Yan's body made a very clear sound. A trace of dark green liquid was like a fiercely burning demon flame, burning Xiao Yan's body. Immediately, Xiao Yan's hands were covered with countless demon stripes. Stretched out from under the devil's armor, and held one of the 5 holy swords lightly in one hand. Crack! Bang bang bang! The arm covered with devil stripes seemed to be filled with an aura that was extremely disgusting for the divine aura. In an instant, with the sudden grasp of Xiao Yan's palm, dark green demon blood flowed from Xiao Yan's palm. It overflowed from above, and the 5 holy flames, one by one, were suddenly shattered by Xiao Yan's actions, and turned into a faint brilliance, which was wiped out by Xiao Mogren's demonic power. The arm was wrapped in pieces of demon armor, only on the dark green palm, drops of dark green demon blood dripped from the sky, and below it, also because of Xiao Yan's demon blood dripping, several the mountain quietly exploded and turned into dust, and the aura contained in the explosion was extremely desolate and evil, like a scene of hell, making people shudder. The power of the devil. It's nothing more than that. If this is all you have, I am afraid that today, you and everyone in the enchantment of light will fall here. Macal's body is bright, white flames and the angel behind him in sight, every step, a circle of ripples like tidal ripples, it spreads out from under its feet. The barrier of light at the top of the sky was shaking violently, and it seemed to have a special resonance with Macal. Suddenly, on the edge of the barrier above the sky, a drop of light the size of a bean had a very strange power, as if the downpour usually falls vertically from the sky. That feeling is as if the barrier of light is a huge gate, and above the barrier of light is an endless sacred river. The top gate of the enchantment seemed to be opened by Macal, and the sloping light spot contained a touch of supreme power no less than the 5 holy swords just now. It's still these little tricks. Seeing this, the demon Xiao Yan suddenly raised his head, and the demon armor around his body erupted with dazzling energy, and a dark green energy enveloped Xiao Yan. That is a kind of steam, more like a special protective shield obtained by perfectly functioning power. With this layer of evil steam enveloped, Xiao Yan will not be afraid of any bright aura. The dimension of light. At this moment, when Xiao Yan's shot turned into a burst of arrows, Macal laughed, and his high-pitched voice swept the world with a sneer. The mere mortals are also trying to compete with the angels? Crash! Countless light spots fell from the enchantment of light, and they surrounded Xiao Yan. In an instant, Xiao Yan's body and soul seemed to have fallen into an unknown country. There, no anger. Xiao Yan didn't know where he was, but he was the only one, and the whole body was like a magnificent and quiet huge palace. At this time, the gate of the palace was quietly pushed open, and a majestic stream of water composed of sacred light points was venting their upside-down effect. Strength. Xiao Yan's body had just arrived in the palace, and the huge soul power made Xiao Yan clear that he was already in a special area, and this was the combination of space and light attributes. Obviously, the Wandering Angel is also a powerhouse of the 2 attributes that controls the space and light attributes. Very good. The use of 2 attributes means that you are also afraid. But you have followed Mar for so long, how can the power of the devil be only this? Seeing the tide of light suddenly pouring into the magnificent and quiet palace, Xiao Yan's hideous laughter was pierced through the temple. It hurts Macal's nerves. How huge is the power of the devil? Macal doesn't know. But since Macal started to follow the research of Mar's demon, she knew that the word demon probably represents absolute power, which is completely different from the power that Xiao Yan is showing now, and she naturally didn't think much about it, thinking that it was Xiao Yan's demon. The power is incomplete, but Xiao Yan is afraid of the devil's backlash and forcibly suppresses the devil's power. Otherwise, someone like Macal, who has inherited the devil's will die with one blow. Macal shook his head. He didn't know why he thought about this when he was fighting. He clearly had the protection of the light attribute, and any soul power and illusion were useless to him. How could this be? Are you afraid? He shook his head hard, and temporarily swept away these thoughts. Immediately, the white flames around Macal turned into bright golden arcs, which came to Xiao Yan's side. At this moment, Xiao Yan only felt that he was in a temple dedicated to judging demons. The sanctuary is extremely magnificent, but it has no breath, as if it were an execution ground. Just because of this, Xiao Yan watched the magnificent temple space around him shrink suddenly, and countless white flames and sacred light spots were also approaching him little by little. They seemed to want to devour him. Moreover, Xiao Yan also knows that although the power of the devil is tyrannical, with Xiao Yan's power, if not for the suppression of the power of the devil by Fenju and Dng, I am afraid that he will really turn into a devil. Unmatched power, but becoming a demon obviously violated his original intention of cultivation. However, the only one who dealt with him was a 2-winged parade angel, and it was not certain who would kill the deer. The existence of a different world made Xiao Yan extremely cautious, and the dark green devil armor all over his body also felt the breath of fear, and scenes of evil black mist began to erupt, protecting Xiao Yan. Since you want to devour me, then let you devour me. It seemed that after thinking for a long time, Xiao Yan's pupils were filled with a deep color, and the demonic power around him instantly disintegrated, and he snorted coldly, like a lunatic spread out. Not good. Just as Xiao Yan's voice fell, Macau's expression finally changed significantly. She stared at Xiao Yan, who had been banished to the Temple of Dimensional Judgment. Because at this time Xiao Yan, the demon armor all over his body has faded, and he is no different from a dead person, but it is this feeling that makes a superpower like Macau, a touch of horror, permeate it.